Prosecutors say this was more than wrong or questionable. They say it was a crime.
We need to find out everything that went on before April 14th.
The rough arrest of a woman with dementia was not a secret. This video was seen long before it got out to the public, and nothing was done about it. Restaurants are living off their expanded patio space, but that's exposed a gap in which parts of town get that special privilege and which don't. Neighbors suing to block a homeless camping site get run out of court almost immediately. And most old buildings knocked down for whatever's new don't get an obituary. This home deserves one.
This structure really represented a big part of our family history.
A final salute to the home of heroes. Next. Colorado's restaurants have spilled into parking lots, sidewalks, even out onto streets. First, just to survive when indoor dining was not allowed, and now they're there because we realized how much we love eating outside in our beautiful weather. Look closely, though, and you'll see that fancy places in Denver like Cherry Creek and Larimer Square are living large outdoors, while hurting restaurants in underserved communities and neighborhoods don't have that same opportunity. Our Steve Sager looks at why.
As for South Federal Boulevard, it's a very unique place with a lot of cultures.
The pandemic was a crushing blow for the businesses along this corridor in southwest Denver.
So it's been the most challenging time in the history. I have never encountered anything like this before.
Toan Lee owns Now Pho off South Federal. When the city offered the expanded patio program, allowing restaurants to move tables into parking lots and streets and seat more people, Lee didn't apply.
If it wasn't feasible for me to apply for, we wouldn't have the financial support to get things moving outside with the extended outdoor patio.
When the city releases information, Cherry Creek gets it first, downtown, Rhino, and they have the capacity to just jump.
Cindy Ames is with the Denver Streets Partnership. On this map, the darker brown areas are places Denver considers high equity priority areas, aka communities that are underserved. When the patio program opened, only about a third of restaurants in these areas applied. Ames said there are a number of factors: language barriers, money for equipment, and the bad infrastructure around them. When the city realized the issue, it applied for grants. And along with the Denver Streets Partnership, they were able to help a few restaurants like Now Pho.
We put up 6 commercial tents.
Everyone didn't even think that this was something that is possible in the business world. Like the city will jump in and say, here's, a few $1,000s. Please open up your patio. We want to help you stay around.
The patio helped Lee during the worst of it.
If without the patio outside, the hardship would be more tremendous.
It's gone now. Customers are coming back inside, and things are feeling normal again.
I'm just happy to see a happy face again.
Now, Lee told me that this was less about making a profit, more about keeping his employees on the job throughout the course of the pandemic. He's exploring some options, though, to try to figure out how to make that patio permanent, Kyle. It didn't really work when the bad weather moved in. The equipment wasn't sufficient for it. He's hoping to try to raise enough money to get a patio out there because, as he said, this happened once. Who knows if it could happen again?
Yeah, but plus, Steve, I think a lot of people just see outdoor dining now as an invitation to stop someplace. I mean, the first time that you showed me the pictures of the tents outside of Lee's Pho place, it's like, oh yeah, oh, you can stop right there because you can tell they're all set up for inside, outside, whatever you want.
Yeah, but he said, one of the big things that he ran into throughout the course of this was right on Federal Boulevard, which is an extremely busy road. A lot of people who wanted to sit out there, they wanted to feel safe. So you got to build like a barricade system around that patio. So it can get a little expensive, but yes, he said it did attract a lot more people in.
All right, very interesting. Thank you, Steve. So Colorado is going to start paying people to get a job and incentive to leave unemployment benefits. Democratic Governor Jared Polis announced he's doing this via executive order today. To qualify for this $1,600 get-off unemployment incentive, you must have received unemployment within the last 7 weeks. You have to be verified through the ID.me system. Fingers crossed that works for you. You've got to get a job by June 26th and then keep it. You get half the incentive after 4 weeks, the rest of it after 8 weeks. This cash is coming out of the federal COVID relief money. All right, it's our nightly Vax Check time. Almost 41% of Coloradans have completed the vaccination process. Nearly 2.4 million of our neighbors and close to another 500,000 are just waiting on their second dose of the vaccine. We talked a lot here about our now individual decisions about mask wearing now that the CDC has largely dropped its mask wearing guidance for people who are fully vaccinated. When I saw that there was a DU chemistry professor who researches airborne COVID transmission who said he's still planning to wear a mask, I want to know more about that. Our Byron Reed talked with Dr. Alex Huffman.
I struggle with this, honestly. This is not an easy discussion for every individual and every family. So my name is Alex Huffman, and I am an aerosol scientist in the Department of Chemistry and Biochemistry at the University of Denver. I do consider myself a cautious person, and in the context of COVID especially, my family, I have 3 children and a wife, and we've been taking this very seriously. I'm not a medical expert, and I'm not a public health official, and that's important to understand. An aerosol scientist is somebody that studies these small particles that are floating around in the air, whether they're outside or inside. Some of those particles are respiratory particles that come out of your mouth and then can go on and infect people. I spent a lot of time this last year both researching and also educating the public on how important these aerosols are, and so how you can prevent the spread from masks and distancing and ventilation and all these things. It was disappointing to me to see the CDC recommendations that came out last week, partially because we as scientists have been pushing so hard for the CDC to acknowledge the airborne spread of this virus. That post resonated with me partially because of the human side of it. Another professor of significant experience decided to share her personal side of the story and saying, you know what, this is not just an academic exercise. This is a really personal thing. I have 3 children and some special health considerations in my family that we need to take seriously. Masks are important because they help prevent vulnerable people where they need to be prevented from getting this virus, and that's indoors. When you're outside, the aerosol that comes out of your mouth, these viruses dilute into the air so quickly that the chances of you getting infected outside are very low. I think at this point it was just premature from my perspective to put out that messaging to rescind the mask mandates because the pandemic is still going on and masks are still a really critical piece of that puzzle.
One aerosol scientist's view. U.S. House today approved a 9/11-style commission to investigate the January 6th insurrection at the U.S. Capitol by Trump supporters. There are the votes of the Colorado House delegation, split on party lines. Every Democrat was for it, every Republican against. Republican leadership came out and pushed members to oppose looking into the insurrection, but there were 35 Republicans in the House that voted with Democrats to investigate. Again, none of them from Colorado. Your Word of Thanks campaigns over the last 2 weeks have raised a combined $67,000 to help the Food Bank of the Rockies fight hunger across Colorado. We're focused on one more solution to this persistent problem this week. It turns out that the secret to getting food to families in need is quite literally putting it in the hands of kids. Your Word of Thanks microgiving campaign this week is going to help expand the Food Bank of the Rockies' Totes of Hope program. This program has been around for 15 years because it's really effective. When kids leave school on Friday, they're sent home with enough food to feed their family for the entire weekend. In the summertime, this program moves from schools to community centers, church camps, and places like that. Single parents have told Food Bank of the Rockies that the weekend is where they struggle most with food. Kids aren't getting meals at school or at childcare. Even getting the whole family all together to go to the food bank and then back, that can be challenging. The Totes of Hope program sends thousands of kids home each weekend with enough food that their parents don't have to worry. They've just started doing ingredients along with recipes so that those families can also cook together. Recently it was enchiladas. If you text the word thanks to 303-871-1491, I'll send you that link to donate. And as always, I'll match the first 50 donations of $5. There are families in Colorado that you would never expect to be struggling with food insecurity. They are. And this is a proven, effective way for us to help. It took more than 10 months for the public to see video of Karen Garner's arrest by Loveland police. Now we learn a prosecutor's office saw it last year and didn't do anything. A judge rules against neighbors trying to stop a homeless camping site while giving them an opening to come back to court. 4 young men walked out of this house headed for war.
4 children fighting in World War II, and all 4 came home.
Came back to a house that held their history and more, but not forever. Next. Larimer County prosecutors saw how officers had treated 73-year-old Karen Garner during her arrest last year. They saw it, they didn't do anything about it. The district attorney, Gordon McLaughlin, who took office in January, is making a different decision today, now charging 2 police officers with crimes. Loveland officer Austin Hopp faces second-degree assault. Officer Daria Jalali, her charges include failure to intervene by a police officer. It's part of the new police accountability law that was passed statewide. The DA says that Officer Jalali witnessed the excessive force used by Officer Hopp and did nothing to report it that day. Garner, who has dementia, was badly injured during this arrest. He was caught on body camera video that was not released until the public until earlier this year. We learned today that someone in the previous district attorney's office had seen that video and did nothing about it.
My understanding is that a member of the district attorney's office had watched the video as part of their review and eventual dismissal, which certainly I believe was the right decision at that time to dismiss the case, the criminal case against Ms. Garner. I have made it very clear to the members of my office, attorneys and otherwise, that I will not stand for someone looking the other way on evidence such as that.
About this person, the current DA's office would only say that the person who viewed the video and did not report it, that issue had been taken care of. A judge told those not in my backyard neighbors from Park Hill, not in my courtroom either. He tossed out their lawsuit trying to stop a city-sanctioned homeless camping site at the church in Park Hill that wants to host one. A handful of neighbors sued Park Hill United Methodist Church along with its pastor, trying to stop tents from being set up on the church's parking lot. Colorado Village Collaborative, which was going to run that camp, similar to existing ones in Denver now, they were also sued. A Denver district judge dismissed the lawsuit today, said that the neighbors needed to go through the city's appeal process, even if they think that's pointless. And only after getting rejected there can they sue.
It's hard saying goodbye.
This was a home for a family. It was also the home of heroes. No more.
This is happening all over the Denver area, not just here.
A final trip to a place full of hidden history before it disappears forever. Next. When old homes come down across Colorado to make way for newer ones, it's more than bricks and mortar being chipped away. Our Nelson Garcia takes us to see the Hero House before it's gone.
Tearing down old homes to make way for new ones is not unusual.
So they had to grow their own food.
Family members gathering.
Hi, honey. How are you?
To see it one last time is.
But see, when I was little, I'd sit on the porch step and all this was empty.
This is the family of John and Bambina Butchie, who lived in this home on North Osage Street in Denver for decades.
Let's go.
They had 9 kids, which led to an army of cousins, like Betty August.
This is my grandmother's house, my mother's mother.
This is the place where these Italian immigrants planted a family tree in the United States.
They were all Italians. Everybody Italian lived in this neighborhood. All the neighbors were Italian. They spoke mostly Italian. And this was like Little Italy.
And this place was home.
I remember everything about this house. I grew up here.
But seeing it all again,
the sink's the same,
is not about the construction.
There was some of the family that actually slept on this floor.
Cousin John.
Should we go upstairs?
Yeah, let's go upstairs. Then I want to see the basement too.
He says it's about the history.
Well, I called this house the Hero House.
During World War II, people would hang a banner of stars in the window to honor those fighting overseas.
Yes, there was, in this window right here.
I'm sure there were a lot of houses around here that had 1 or 2 stars, but this house had 4 stars.
4 stars for the 4 Butchie brothers on the front lines, including John's dad, Joe, who was a paratrooper and made jumps all over Europe.
I just can't imagine what what my grandmother and my grandfather went through when knowing that they had four sons in the war in Europe.
2 others were in the Army, and 1 was in the Navy on a ship that was bombed, yet he survived. They all did.
To me, it's like I'm honoring the family and I'm honoring those 4 brothers.
4 children fighting in World War II, and all 4 came home.
Home to this house.
I'd been here, I don't know how many times I was here as a little baby.
If that did not happen, many of these cousins and descendants would not even exist.
Thank you.
That's why it was important to come back before it's demolished.
It's hard saying goodbye.
Weeks later, the day has come for this 100-year-old home to be torn down.
This is happening all over the Denver area, not just here.
Some call it gentrification. Others call it progress.
It's hard to see it go down. It is. But that's what happens.
For a window that used to carry 4 heroic stars.
I'm surprised that I'm kind of as emotional as I am.
John Butchie calls it an actual window into the past. That's now lost forever.
I didn't think I would have this kind of feeling watching it go down, but you know, this structure really represented a big part of our family history on my dad's side.
So the next time you see an old house,
it was a beautiful place. It was beautiful to come here.
An old house making way for a new one.
Look at that.
It may have a story like this place, where both home and heroes were raised. With photojournalist Tom Cole.
I'll take a few still pictures, and I guess that'll about be it.
I'm Nelson Garcia.
Oh, it was tougher to watch than I thought it was going to be. You saw John there collecting bricks from the home. He's going to build a garden walkway at his place, a tribute to the house and to his family. There is more to see from all of our in-depth Storytellers pieces like that one. You can find that in the Storytellers section of 9news.com. $5 contribution to Word of Thanks this week feeds a whole family for a weekend. That's pretty cool. And a parent's idea of which Coloradans really deserve the stimulus money next. There are families in Colorado that absolutely dread the weekends, because parents know that's when it's hardest to feed their families. Food Bank of the Rockies' Totes of Hope program sent a weekend's worth of food home with kids on Friday, and right now they're shifting into summer mode from schools and camps to community centers. If you text the word thanks to 303-871-1491, I'll send you that link to join me in donating $5. It covers the cost of the nonprofit's tote of weekend food for a family. That's the kind of leverage they have. $5 covers one family for the weekend, so I'll be able to go back and do the math on that. A lot of you not pleased with the fact that the state is sending a $1,600 incentive payment to people who get off of unemployment. Daniel said, how about those of us who are working?